It's just like having a band, it's like when you have the band, you got all the different players, you come together, and ultimately it's amplified. 1 + 1 does not equal 2, it equals 3 because you have the harmony and all of that. The same thing happens when you have people that you're in alignment with, like a coach, a mentor, or peers. When you get in the groove with them, you elevate. It's an exponential increase in the potency of what you can achieve together. And I think, the musician thing, like you were saying, it's tough, man. It's tough because musicians, it's a different way of thinking. Like it really is. And I know a lot of people talk about this left brain, right brain, or this linear thinking and expansive thinking and all of this, but it's really true. Like I feel like when I'm recording music, and I'm composing music and I'm doing that, or if I'm in a coaching session, I'm coaching somebody, because I like to blend the coaching and a little NLP and hypnosis with music and to do sound journeys and stuff. And when I'm doing that work, I'm definitely like in a totally different mindset than when I'm like building content and structuring like a system or building a website or a landing page or a brochure or whatever it is. It's like there's different ways of thinking, and a lot of people, stereotypically, a lot of artists don't have the business, know-how, right? The nuts and bolts. And it's not that they can't do it, right? Because I was like that at one point, not that I'm a master now, but I've much better. And it's not that they can't do that. It's just that they don't have the tools and they don't have the influence and they don't have that mentorship or that coaching or the peers, right? The mastermind group or whatever it is, the like-minded community.
Yeah.
They just don't have that. And it's just like having a band, it's like when you have the band, you got all the different players, you come together, and ultimately it's amplified. 1 + 1 does not equal 2, it equals 3 because you have the harmony and all of that. The same thing happens when you have people that you're in alignment with, like a coach, a mentor, or peers. When you get in the groove with them, you elevate. It's an exponential increase in the potency of what you can achieve together.
It's absolutely so true, because I mean the believability comes, and you don't have to do it on your own. You're like seeing what other people are doing, and it just like it does amplify all of the pieces. And it often reminds me, so I come from the art background too, not directly from the music, although I always had an affinity towards it. And you've been an influence on me with that, because you brought me back to my desire to play music and be a part of that. But when I
Gotta get
went to
back
film
to the
school,
music, get on back to the music. Gotta get back to the music, get on back, go back to the music. That was your musical interlude. Go
thank
ahead.
you. It was perfect. I came from I went to film school. That's what I went to college for. And I quickly learned that it's not show play, it's show business,
Man.
and that hit me like an early, and that's how I started becoming a producer at a young age. I was like, wait a minute, we can't just make this stuff. No one's going to see it. I was asking my peers, I was like, and they're like, why are you doing all this marketing stuff? It's so different than film. And I'm like, well, who's going to market your film? Like,
I want people to see it.
yeah, I'm like, we gotta. And so I started reading books and learning about that. And so I'm an artist as well. And I still am, like, that's a big
Yeah.
part of me and my DNA, but I had to learn business. And I'm lucky that I figured that out at a young age. And I just went on this quest to learn how to be a businessman as
Mhm.
well as an artist. And I think that blend has,
Yeah.
yeah, and I didn't realize that too, even like hanging out with you, giving some kudos back to you. Like I didn't realize, like reminding myself that I am an artist, because I think some part of me went so far business, I had to come back to the other side. Like, so it is that going back and forth, a little bit of ping pong, and now further integrating the both. And I think you're in a
Yes.
place like that too, because you've done that too. And I think where you are right now in your career, it's like the furthest you've ever integrated. And I think I'm in the same place. It's like
You
bringing
are.
it all together, all our talents, and now this is what's happening.
Yeah, and I see that in you. And what I've noticed too with working with you in the music realm is that you've actually brought some of your business skill, knowledge, awareness into the like systematic way of approaching an instrument, right? Or music, which is, right, you come in and you master the mechanics, you do the drills, you do the exercise, you build the template, you do the thing, whatever it is, and then you can flow creatively, you can flow effortlessly, you can be in a conversation, right? And that's really what it is, Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Like, well, I'm learning for Elise, right? Like, so it's been one of the Beethoven songs that I've always like gravitated towards my whole life. I remember one of my cousins had piano lessons since age 4, and he could always play that song so beautifully, and he knew it too. So whenever he was around me, he'd play it for me, and I just was in awe of that song. And I still don't know why, but I'm so gravitated to that song. And so I've been learning it. And any of you that know the song, it starts off quite simple. There's still some technique I had to learn. But I'm getting to the more complicated parts, and I have to say I had a victory in the last week. Like, one of the parts that I didn't think, like, I actually thought in my mind, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to play it. I played it this week, and now I have it memorized. I can go to the piano and like any minute I can play that part of the song, and I'm like, whoa, I did it. I did it.
And playing for Elise, something like that, like taking a pretty complicated or high information piece like that, is a great analogy for business too. Because earlier you were asking, kind of something like alluding to, like, was there like a moment? And I was saying there wasn't like a moment where suddenly I was like liberated and I knew everything and it was like epiphany.
Yes.
It's like, it's a process, and it's all of these micro steps to create this macro transformation that happens, over weeks or months or years. Yeah.
It was really, I mean, I've been working on this piece of music, so I think it's almost 1.5 years since we got a piano. Now, I had played it years ago, and then when we moved to Australia, which is a while now, like 7 years ago, like, we sold our piano, and so then I only got a piano again like 1.5 years ago. And because of the Native American flute, also influenced by you, I've actually not been on the piano as much, but I gravitated towards it in the last week. And you're right, it's piece by piece, because I had to learn the right hand, and I'm like, okay, there's the right hand, and then I had to figure out the left hand, and then I had to kind of like relearn the right hand to make sure that it was in sync. And the reason it was so difficult is because it's got a rhythm on the left hand and like something else going on the right, and they're blending together. So it's like playing drums, that's a mastery right there, to be able to like do something different with all 4 limbs, like you're in a different beat with your right foot on the bass drum, or like, and you're doing different things with the hi-hat and you're drumming, and it's that goes back to this whole right brain, left brain, like you're like doing different things. And so and anyways, but back to your point, I went way off on that, is that it's different, one thing at a time. And just like anything in business, is one thing at a time. And once I learned that one thing, I was able to integrate the other thing. And lots of deep breaths at the piano, because I was trying to get my fingers to do something they've never done before, and I didn't give up. That's the other thing too. Like, I could have said, oh, I can't do this, but that wasn't in my mind. I was like, I know I can do this, just one step at a time, at a time. Yeah. Hey there, I want to give you something really big. It's called Clear Path to Customers. It's the way that we get the right language to get the right client. I like to call them your wow clients, so that you can have more results, more revenue, more raving fans, and more referrals. And I want to give this to you absolutely free. And all you have to do is go to stevenapolitan.com to check it out, or you can look at the description here. We'll put the details there. As always, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom.